Welcome to the Business Unfiltered series, and I'm Rick Plasket, a certified business and leadership coach here in Ohio. And today, my guest is Katie Poole. She is the owner, second generation owner of the Chimney Guys. Today, we're going to talk to her about her business, some of the challenges, some of her best practices, and get a peek into what it's really like to build and operate a business for the long term. If this is your first time on the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe so you get notifications into the future. Helps you, it helps me. Katie, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Rick.
Yeah, hey, listen, you have such a fabulous story, Katie. Would you please give a brief overview of your background and tell us a little bit about this wonderful The Chimney Guys business?
I would be happy to. Of course, my name is Katie Poole. I am the CEO here at the Chimney Guys. I'm a second generation owner here at the Chimney Guys. I got my start in this industry 25-ish years ago. I was 15 years old, working at a chimney company that my dad worked at the time. So I started learning about chimneys from a young age. And we've got a wonderful company now of about 30 employees. So we're able to, help homeowners here in the Central Ohio area with anything from, minor types of things, just to annual maintenance and cleaning, inspections, new fireplaces, stoves, inserts, remodels, rebuild from the ground up. You name it, you dream it, we can do it for you.
Super, super, super. So let's set the stage for the viewers. The current ownership structure of your business, are you the sole owner or are there outside investors into the company as well?
Yes, at this point in time, I am the sole owner here at the Chimney Guys.
Super. So being the owner, being the CEO, tell us a little bit about the role that you currently play over 30 plus people.
Yeah, so a big part of my role is really just that strategic direction for the company. Where is it that we want to go? And then what is the navigation to get there? So that's a big part of it. But another part of it, a part that I really very much enjoy, is working with my employees one on one and being able to talk to them and help them to make goals, define what that target is and then gives them all the tools and resources to actually achieve those goals. So that's how we're able to continue to grow as an organization by constantly investing into our people and what their goals are and helping them to achieve them.
Super. That actually sparked two follow-on questions for me. The first is, how would you describe your percentage breakdown on average of, like you said, you focus on strategic thinking and strategic direction for the business, but how much do you get pulled back into the operational side as well? How much do you work on the business versus in the business?
It's a pretty even thing, but it also ebbs and flows, right? So whenever there's kind of a growth spurt and I'm needed to kind of come back into the trenches, that's where I'm going to go, right? If that's where my team needs me. So some of that fluctuates with seasonality,
Mhm.
with the business, and some of that fluctuates just on growth in general, right? As we get to certain levels, we need more hands, right? So until we're able to get more hands, I'm going to be here to make sure that we have everything we need to be successful.
Super, super. Now, you mentioned working with all of your people in the area of goal setting and learning how to get to them. So I'm kind of curious on your definition of a goal. And let me set this up for you. There's some people that I've worked with as a business coach where their goal is exactly what they know. They know how to do it. I know how to get there. So my goal is to. And in that area, is that really a goal, or do we just put it on the to-do list and get it done when we need to get it done? Or when you sit down with your people, do each of their goals and do your future goals require you to grow a little bit? In other words, there's a gap from where you are to where you see this goal becoming part of your life, and you have to learn or grow to close that gap. What's your philosophy on goal setting?
Yeah, so Rick, that's a really great question. And it's definitely the second scenario that you presented there. So all of our goals are related to growth. There's got to be some sort of growth achieved in order to get to that next step. So we also focus on SMART goals. I'm sure you're familiar with SMART goals, but for
Hmm.
anybody else who might not be, that's going to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So all of our goals are SMART goals and they're focused towards growth.
Super, super. Well, in talking about your team, do you have many aspiring or junior leaders in your team that you're working to grow into those positions?
Yes, that's one of my favorite things to identify is those who I can see as leaders. And, we really try to position everybody as a leader in one way or another, right? So although you might not have an official leadership type title, we're all leaders. We're all setting the standard for what it
Mhm.
is that we do here at the Chimney Guys and living that culture of the Chimney Guys. And, somebody might have a specific skill that they really excel at. So maybe they're the leader, they're that go-to expert for that thing. So everybody is a leader in one way or another. But to also more specifically answer your question, yes, of course, there are the ones that are really looking for that leadership type level. And I really enjoy working with them.
Super, super. My background is in the military, and so one of the leadership styles is always to lead by example. I'm
Mm.
curious, and I don't want a specific title from any specific leadership style book, but how would you describe your leadership style? And more importantly, do you think it's changed over the years?
I'm going to answer those in reverse order. So yes, my leadership style has greatly changed over the years. To start off, with this company and my involvement in the company as it is today. I started the company out of a dire need, right? And we can talk more about that, but it
Mhm.
wasn't something that, was planned. That I, stood up and said, I'm a leader, I'm going to be a great leader, and I'm going to do this thing. It was out of necessity to survive. So in the beginning, I was a terrible leader. In fact, I sometimes reflect on certain situations with previous employees where I just feel really bad about maybe how I handled a situation or how I could have been a better leader. All of those are, of course, lessons. So it has definitely changed over time with the things that I have learned as a leader, both from experience in addition to coaching. So coaching is something that I feel is very important, and I invest a lot of time and resources into coaching. So I've learned a lot about leadership in that regard as well. And then to answer the first part of your question, as far as leadership style, um, I don't necessarily have a word to describe the style, but what I can say is I do my best to lead by Matthew 5:16 every day. So to let your good deeds be seen before men and glorify your Father in heaven, which for me is twofold. This having been a company that my father started, and then, of course, all for his glory.
Fabulous. And thank you for sharing that. It's refreshing to hear someone that is willing uh to live that into their Monday through Friday and not just on Sundays. It was a very, very scary te statistic that I saw oh, a few years back, where
Hmm.
when asked, 85% of people in America knew of someone who was a Christian. And yet that number dropped significantly when they asked what percentage were actually business owners on a Monday through a Friday and lived what you just shared. So thank you for that. So I don't want to get into your past unless you want to, but you did bring it up. Okay, so it's 100% on you. But I'm kind of curious because what I'm hearing and what I'm feeling is you started the business in goal setting terms, to move away from some point of pain or discomfort. And
Right.
now you have a position in the business where you have developed it to now you're moving toward this goal of living in his image and in his honor and even more. Is that a fair summary of what you're sharing, or do we need to
Yes.
know the entire rest of the story?
No, that's a great summary, but I will elaborate on that some without, going
Please.
into a full-blown story because that would take a lot of time. However, at the time that I started the Chimney Guys, well, let me back up. My father started the Chimney Guys originally, so this was back in the year 2004. Dad was happy being a single truck operator. He just wanted to provide a good income to provide for his family, right? That's what was
Mhm.
important to him. He didn't want employees and all of those kinds of things. So as a result, when he unexpectedly passed away in 2018, the company closed because, well, it was just him. So it was about a year and a half later that I myself was at rock bottom in my life. I was a single mom. I had four children, lost my house. They had to live with their dad, car out for repo. It really just totally rock bottom situation. And, I knew I needed to do something to make a big impact and a change to turn things around in my life. And what I did is I took my dad's previous customer records and I started calling people because I knew how to do that. Um, and I had a chimney sweep that I'd known since I was younger who told me at my dad's memorial service, if you ever need anything, call me. So I called him and he like taught me the basics of sweeping a chimney over the phone and, provided me some resources, like pointing me in the right direction of some things. So I started the company all over again at that point with a 40-foot fiberglass ladder that I found on Craigslist. Popped that on top of my Cadillac SRX that was out for repo, and yeah, that's what was going on at that time in my life when I started the company. So again, yeah, that was out of necessity to survive, and things very quickly turned around, actually.
Katie, thank you so much for sharing that. I know that that's a personal story. I guess my question to bring it forward
Hmm.
is how often do you wake up in the morning and have to catch yourself from the Katie that was back then to, or do you wake up every single morning, hop onto the floor and go, I now have 30 families that I'm responsible for. Isn't this great? How do I take it to the next step? I mean, share with me a little bit what's going on in here and in here
Yeah,
when the
yeah.
alarm clock goes off.
So that's a super interesting question. And the answer has actually changed over the years for that as well. You know what I mean? So there were times in the morning where I'd wake up and I would just have such anxiety of, this is going to go wrong or that's going to go wrong or somebody going to call off and it is because of that burden that you carry, knowing that the success of your business can have an impact on families, right? On the families, not only who work for you, but on the families that you serve. So that's where I was at one point. Felt like a forever long period of time, actually. Thankfully, no longer living in that. But I wake up in the morning and I say, I get to do this. And I am just ready to go. And I've got a great team because it's not just me who is doing all of this now. So I've got a great team who helps to carry that responsibility. And the reason I say that that was a really interesting question is because you said specifically about knowing that you've got 30 other families who are depending on you, right? And that's huge. That's a huge responsibility and a burden that's an honor, honestly, to carry. Um, but it can weigh you down, right? So I was recently reading a book, and I wish I knew the name and the author, but I don't. But it was a man who had a company, successful, doing great. It was in something to do with software, and he had to let some people go. And in the book, he says something along the lines of, totally paraphrasing here, um, you know, it's not my responsibility to provide for them. That's God's responsibility, and He will do that, and He will take care of them. And when I read that, that was just such a relief because that's true, right? But there I was, like many others, I'm sure, thinking that I needed to bear all of that weight myself, and I don't.
One of the greatest Sunday school lessons that I remember was the leader giving us all these little wooden boxes with a hinged top, and then asking us all to write something that we wanted God to help us with on a piece of paper. We folded it up, we stuffed it into that box, and then we glued the lid shut. And he said, okay, you've given that to God. Now let him answer it. Quit
Uh-huh.
opening it up and retrying to rewrite the piece of paper or redo your own choices and your own habits of trying to solve that problem. If you've
Hmm.
asked him, let him do the work for you. And I think somewhere around this office, I still have that little wooden
Do
box.
you?
Um, you know, Katie, from this point forward, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Um, what I really want to do is something that I've done a little bit of, but I want to do much more. So, I'm involved with the prison ministry at my church. So we go into the prison, and then there's a local jail that we have a Bible study at, and I really enjoy that. And then there's other situations where my husband and I have shared our testimony and led worship, like in a group setting. And so basically just ministry in one capacity or another. I just want
Hmm.
to go out and let people know that, they are not their circumstances, right? Um, and I'm not going to preach to you, so I'm going to stop right there. But that's ultimately what I kind of want to be when I grow up.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. If I gave you a magic wand and you could wave that magic wand, and there was one piece of your business that tomorrow morning would magically be exactly what you want, what would that part of the business be?
Mm. Well, today I would say that is ordering and warehousing. That's a little bit of a pain point for us right now. We've just got so many jobs that are coming in, which, is an absolute blessing, but we're running out of space to house all
Mhm.
of the things we need to order to do the jobs. So that would kind of be the magical piece I'd like to have fixed.
So you just need a square foot expander for your warehouse?
Yeah, that's
Something you
all.
push a button in and
That's
just
all.
be,
Yeah.
sure. Okay. Well, listen, Katie, we have certainly covered an awful lot of ground today in our conversation. Though it's been short. And for those of you watching, I absolutely recommend that you save this and come back a few times because Katie's got a ball of energy. She shared some really great nuggets, and she's also shared a supervision of what the future could be. And given where she started from, that's a blessing in of its own. So before we get into the wrap up of this, I'd like to hit a section of this interview that's just a series of rapid fire questions. Just looking for what's top of mind. You ready, Katie?
Let's do it.
Super. Katie, what is your key to success?
Oh, wow. Okay, you said top of the head. The key to my success is not holding on to it all myself and to lean into God for that strength that I need every day to do everything that I've got to do.
Fabulous, fabulous. What's a piece of advice that you would offer to another business owner?
Systems. Systems and
Systems.
setting expectations from the point of your job ad through interviewing, onboarding, 30, 60, 90-day quarterly reviews. Expectations.
Fabulous. I know that many of my coaching sessions, I am reinforcing with my business owner clients that when you hire something, They don't know that they can fail. So set the entire stage for total success and nothing else. That's the
Yes,
expectation. Even if you have 29 other people that aren't meeting that yet, start the next new one off with that higher expectation. Fabulous.
absolutely.
Now, you already have an answer to this next one. I may give you a mulligan or I'll ask you for a different. What's one book that you are reading now or would you recommend for somebody else besides the one that neither one of us can remember that name?
So actually there's another book that I've recently started reading called Inner Excellence. Jim Murphy, I believe, is the author. So I'm still kind of in the beginning of that book, but it's been very insightful thus far.
Super, super, super. And that book, along with many others, you follow that whole principle. I can just feel it, and that is you lead from the front. The business is only going to improve when you improve. You don't have
Mm,
to be the best at chimney cleaning, but you have to be the best at that next level of beliefs and values that you expect your others to emulate. Final
absolutely.
question before we get to that today. Katie, if there is somebody watching today that either one wants to become your next new best customer and needs their chimney cleaned before they start their fires this fall, or two, you have sparked their curiosity and they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, the best way to reach me is through email, and it's Katie, Katie, at therealchimneyguys.com.
Super. So here's the last question, Katie. What do you find most inspiring today?
Oh, wow. What do I find most inspiring? I don't know why that feels like such a stumper right now. You said top of mind. It's my people, leading my people. Like that's inspiring to me is when I see them learn something new or them to set like a new goal because there's something that they found interesting and now they want to know more about this. Like that's inspiring to me. That gives me a job as their leader to help them.
Kind of spoken like a real successful mother that watches their kids leave the nest and learn to experience and interact with life on their own, given the values that you have taught them over the
Yes,
years.
yes.
Fabulous, fabulous. Katie, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your journey. It's a lot bigger journey than most have, and I think that you are doing a fabulous job along the way. And thank
Thank
you
you.
for the to the audience for watching this today. Please come back and watch Katie a couple more times. She was definitely inspirational for me. So, folks, make it a great day and bye for now.